What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're doing another selection reaction video. Who has made the team sheets? This one for a massive game going on this weekend. Springboks versus Ireland. Probably the game I personally looking forward to the most. As a neutral going into this is a game I'm expecting just to watch two teams absolutely hammer the hell out of each other. We get to rewatch this one from the pool stage of the World Cup. It was a massive talking point leading up to the World Cup. Who's going to win that game in the pool stage? And we get to watch it all over again as Ireland head over to South Africa to start off their tour. So we're going to take a look at the team sheets that have been announced today. Who we think some good picks, some bad picks, some changes that have been made, and also our expectations from this game, which I'm just expecting to be absolutely amazing. I think this is probably going to be the game of the weekend for me to watch. Drop down in the comment section what you guys think of the teams that have been announced. Are there any changes you would have made to the teams that have actually been announced? And of course, if you enjoyed this video, hit the old like button. We've already done one of these for the Australia versus Wales game. That's also up on the channel. You can go check that one out after this one if you haven't already. Let's start it out then with the home team of South Africa. Now, South Africa played 2 weeks ago. They played Wales, and in all honesty, I think got caught out a little bit by Wales in that first half. I certainly wasn't expecting a 1-point game at halftime. Wales came into that one with a bit of an underwhelming team because they had a couple of players locked behind the international window and what have you. South Africa came in with a strong team. I thought South Africa would do very, very well and sort of take each half by about 12 to 15 points. There was 1 point in it at halftime, and they were struggling in some certain areas to shut Wales down as confidently as I was expecting. There was a couple of people that really put their hands up in that Wales game, though, where it's a bit of a shame to not be seeing them. Edwill van der Merwe is one of them who's just not on this team sheet. I thought he had a great game. I thought he was phenomenal. I was really thinking we might actually get to see him in this one as well. They've gone for a more bolstered squad. There's certainly a higher cap range. I don't actually know off the top of my head how many of these guys were playing in that pool stage game. I probably should have tried to find that out. I've lost all my team sheets from the World Cup stuff. That'd be nice to know. If anyone does know how many starting players are in each team for this team and the Ireland team that did play in that pool stage game, drop it down in the comment section, because I'd actually quite like to know how many that is. But let's start out with talking about this team. So in the front row, Oxenche, Bongi Mbonambi, and Frans Malherbe going in that tight head shirt. Now, the scrum last week, or 2 weeks ago now, for South Africa looked great. I was astonished as a Wales supporter outside of the channel. I was astonished that the referee was giving penalties against South Africa in the scrum. It looked to me like the Welsh scrum was just getting mullered and South Africa were running over them. But they were doing it at such a pace that shouldn't really be happening in international. Oxenche kept getting penalised for taking a sidestep. I think he just mullered the forwards and actually did too well, and they're not really expecting it at international. And I think Warren Gatland saw that too, because he took Azarati off at 38 minutes when they were winning penalties in the scrum. Feels like a weird thing to do if you're winning penalties. I think he knew they were getting a little bit lucky there. I think Oxenche was unfortunately a little bit harsh on some of his penalties. I think they did very well in terms of the scrummaging. They're going to need to keep that going into this Ireland team, because Ireland are another big old team that love their scrums. Mbonambi coming in there in the hooker position, because last week Malcolm Marx might have had the first game ever where I could say, I think Malcolm Marx was off the mark. That kind of sounds like a bit of a pun. It's not what I was aiming to do. But I think it's maybe the first game where Malcolm Marx, for me, actually, I was like, this is feeling a little bit underwhelming. I've talked very highly about Malcolm Marx, and there was quite a few things that game. I was like, this is not the guy I remember in that hooker position. And Mbonambi coming in there, hopefully going to settle the ship. The line-out thing is the only thing I'm going to be looking for with Bongi and Mbonambi, is that sometimes I think that line-out can go a bit off. And Ireland are a team that love the line-out. So getting those throws in correct is going to really, really punish them. That is the area that needs to be absolutely bang on in this game. In the lock department, who else are going to be? Eben Etzebeth and Franco Mostert, two boys who went up against a vastly lower capped Wales team in the lock department. And in all honesty, I don't really think I saw Eben Etzebeth punishing Wales at all, really, in the line-out. It didn't really feel like they were getting on top of it. There was a big cap differential. I was expecting a bit more from the sort of lock department from South Africa to really sort of just mess about with the Wales line-out and stop them. Didn't really get to see that again. Ireland are a big team for it. You've got to get involved and mess up their line-out to really take that platform away from them. In the back row, Sia Khaleesi returns to the side at captain in the number 6 shirt. Peter Steph du Toit going in there in the 7 shirt, and Quagga Smith goes in at number 8. Now, this surprised me. Because for everything I said great about Quagga Smith in the South Africa Wales preview video, I actually think Evan Roos had a better game. when he was playing at number 8 compared to Quagga Smith was playing at 6 in that game. Now, I don't know if there's been an injury that I haven't seen about. I did try and have a Google. I couldn't see anything to say he was out with an actual injury or what have you. But Quagga Smith going in at 8, he can play just anywhere really, so I'm sure he'll have a good old game. But I did think maybe that would have been an area for Aaron Roos to have stepped in for that number 8 shirt again. Quagga Smith unfortunately might have fallen back to the bench where he just always seems to be, but I'm glad that he is starting another game. Halfback partnership, Faf de Klerk going in alongside Andre Pollard. I did wonder what they would do with the fly half. I didn't know if Pollard was going to be the guy they would go to. It made sense to put on the best sort of units you have for you. Last week there was a few issues for me with terms of the fly half and not really being where I thought they'd be. Feinberg and Gomazulu came on, and I actually thought steadied the ship quite well. So I'm glad to see that he's still on the bench for this one, even if he's still low on caps. Andre Pollard's your sort of go-to guy there, right? Though that's probably what you're expecting Faf and Pollard in there. Centre partnership, Damien Delende going in alongside Jesse Creel. Esther Hazen for me 2 weeks ago again. Not making as much of an impact as I want. Go back to your tried and tested Damien Delende and Jesse Creel, who I still think is doing well. So I think that's a good setup in the centre partnership. And then in the back three, Kurtley Arense goes in on the left wing, Cheslin Colby on the right wing, and Willy Leroux going in the full-back shirt. Now, like I said, Edwin van der Merwe, man, I thought he played well. And I know it's a big test to say, oh, now do that against Ireland compared to maybe a bit of a lower-rated Wales team. I think he played superb in both defence and attack, and he was everywhere. And a bit of me wondered whether we might get to see van der Merwe start this game, and you could have had Cheslin Colby on the bench, and that way he could have come on either on wing or at fullback later in the game, depending on where it felt like you needed him to go into. It is South Africa. They've done the 6-2 thing again, so removes that option for a back substitute. But that was sort of a hope of mine I was hoping to see. But they've gone for, again, the tried and tested. No Mapimbi this week, no van der Merwe. We've gone for Cheslin Colby and Arense, who, they're good scoring assets. There's no reason to not have those boys on the wing. I just wanted to see something a bit different. I would have liked to have seen him maybe start that game on the wing. In the replacements then, Malcolm Mark, Steenkamp and Vincent Koch going back in there in that front row replacements. Morat, R.G. Sneeman and Marco van Staden coming in there as the replacement forwards at 6-2. They did the 7-1, if you remember, in the pool stages, and it was one of those talking things. Is this cheating? Was one area of it, and then also, does it even work? Was like the areas that it went to. I really think that 7-1 that they did in the pool stage was on the very edge of being the right call. I think that game needed to be 5-10 minutes longer in the pool stage, and that's where it would have had the impact. I think the Irish forwards in the pool stage, you have to give full credit for to be able to hold up for 80 minutes versus the 7-1. They've gone for the 6-2, a little bit more variety maybe to give you, because in the replacement backs, Grant Williams and Feinberg and Gomazulu, who will be two useful replacements. Grant Williams as well, with the ability to cover a couple of different positions there as well. I think it's a good move. I'm liking the team. I'm liking we've got the big boys out. I did wonder if either team was maybe going to try some new debutants and maybe try and put it down. No, South Africa have gone big. They've gone for the big starting 15, which is something I always enjoy seeing. Moving on to the Ireland team then, who have put out a new graphic. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of the graphic. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. The pink and green, I think it kind of clashes. I'm not necessarily a big fan of this, but this is the graphic we're working with for this week. Hopefully it might shift up a little bit later on, but I don't know. Ireland in the Six Nations won the Six Nations. I had them down to win the Six Nations. I had them down to win it as a Grand Slam. I had great confidence in that game against England. Caught them off the mark maybe, and England managed to prevail on that one. I just did not see that coming. But across the rest of the tournament, Ireland just looking very, very good, across it. They've gone for basically the team you'd expect, right? I did see earlier in the week there was a whole thing about Razzie putting up that he did his prediction for what he was expecting the Ireland team to be. I think Ireland at the minute is probably one of the teams I think most people could give a good shout at the starting 15. They have got a very solid team of exactly the players in almost every position now, where you want them. They're all young enough in age that I feel like you've got a couple of years left in them as well. I feel like most people could have a good crack at the team, right? And it's not very, surprising in terms of what they've done for the team, especially in terms of this forwards. Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan, Tyke Furlong. That's your front row. That's the front row you want in Ireland, right? I think this is certainly up there for one of the best front rows in World Rugby at the minute. Dan Sheehan, especially in terms of that hooker. Talking about what was going on with Malcolm Marks and Bongi and Benambi as well. Dan Sheehan is up there for me as potentially the best hooker in the world at the minute. I've been really enjoying seeing his work. That line-out game and the way that he likes to have his running play for a hooker. He's such a pacey hooker, and the way that he peels off the back of mauls and stuff. Such a dangerous player. Certainly one to watch out for if you're not sort of caught up on the world of international rugby at the minute. In the lock department, Joe McCarthy going back in alongside of Ty Byrne. McCarthy seems to have landed that number 4 shirt now. He seems to be the number 1 pick in there. I think he had a great explosion onto the scene with the Six Nations. I thought he had a really good couple of games to start off. He kind of peeled out for me a little bit towards the end of the Six Nations. Ty Byrne is just always at a really high standard. I think McCarthy's one of those lads, still a bit young, still slightly inexperienced. He's going to be growing in confidence as it goes. He seems to be the nailed-on number 4 pretty much in Ireland now, but I'm hoping we get back to see where he was at the start of the Six Nations going into this game rather than towards the end. In the back row, Peter O'Mahony going back in as captain, Josh van der Fleer and Caelan Doris in at the number 8 shirt. So just 1 through 8. This is the big boys. This is the big... I can't wait for this game. Genuinely, I'm very, very excited for this game. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be another monster masterclass in terms of the scrummaging and the rucks. I think it's going to be brutal. I'm so glad both teams have just put out the massive guns, especially in terms of the forward pack, because that's what you want to see from this fixture, right? In the backs then, Craig Casey going in alongside Jack Crowley. I did hear when we were doing the live stream, you guys would let me know that James Gibson Park was out with an injury. I completely passed me in terms of the news. I did wonder whether they'd start Conor Murray just to have the sort of experienced head coming on at the start of the game. Obviously, there's no Johnny Sexton now at 10. So in terms of your halfback partnership, you've got 2 young lads here, Craig Casey and Jack Crowley. Hopefully that's going to bring excitement and a bit of energy. I thought Crowley did very, very well in terms of the Six Nations. But in terms of just the cool head leadership, maybe not quite there just because of, an age and experience on the pitch. I thought maybe Conor Murray would have got the nod. They've gone for Craig Casey, so energy and hopefully, high tempo from the back of the rucks is what we'll be seeing. And we might get a little bit more of an exciting game maybe than what we got to see in the pool stage where there was, everyone was playing it a little bit safe, a little bit cautious. These 2 lads might actually make it a little bit more exciting, a bit more open. Centre partnership, Bundy Archie going in alongside Robbie Henshaw. And this was one that caught me by surprise. I really thought Gary Ringrose would get in at 13. I thought they'd go back to the tried and tested method. Henshaw going in at 13. Obviously can also switch 12-13. So if Archie picks up an injury, it's Henshaw swap over and you'll have Ringrose come on. Bundy Archie across the World Cup was another one that was just absolutely crushing games as well. So many talented players going on in this South Africa-Ireland game. I can't wait for it. And then in the back 3, James Lowe out on the left wing, Calvin Nash on the right wing, and Osborne making his debut. Welcome to international rugby, lad. What a game to start out with. South Africa at home. What a time to make your debut. Now, Frawley is on the bench. We'll get onto the bench in a second. I really thought Frawley would be slotting in that 15 shirt, especially, Crowley at 10, 40, 15. I think it was working well enough for them. Best of luck to Osborne in this one, because I think that'll be an area that, might be targeted a lot, especially with how much we know the love to box kick. Going over there. They're going to put punishing kicks towards that backfield as well. James Lowe's pretty good, though, at just being able to cover the backfield generally. It was one kind of complaint I had across the Six Nations when I was watching Ireland, is how much Lowe is the relied upon guy. It's purely Lowe. I really didn't feel like Calvin Nash was getting too much of the ball. If anyone was paying attention to the fantasy teams stuff we were doing as well, even keeping track of his stats, Calvin Nash was having to go everywhere all over the pitch just to get the ball. No one was getting it to him. James Lowe was popping up all over the place. He's such a key person in that backfield for Ireland, is James Lowe. Again, one you might want to actually target and shut down quicker, because I don't really feel like Ireland so far have utilised Calvin Nash enough. I would like to see a little bit more coming from him. And finally, in terms of the replacements, see what I mean? There's graphics all over the place. We got to do faces below my face, slightly different this time. Kelleher, Healy and Beelum. That's a solid front row to come on in the second half. I actually wonder if I might rate that slightly higher than the South African team, because Steenkamp coming on from South Africa is probably the only forward in that front row where I'm like, maybe a little bit less experience than I'm going to be giving to someone like Malcolm Marks and Vincent Koch. This is a solid front row from Ireland as well. I think that scrum is going to be just a brutal area to focus on all day. James Ryan and Ryan Baird are going to be replacement forwards as well. Ireland going for the 5-3, so that we might be seeing a bit more of an open play game from them, as Conor Murray, Frawley and Ringrose filling out that replacement backs as well. So a lot of experience on this Ireland bench. So as this game goes on, you might find that Ireland actually begin to tip the scales their way a little bit. Ireland have gone for the youthful halfback partnership, and they've also gone for the 5-3. It's inclining me to think that actually we might be seeing Ireland play round with the ball a bit more rather than doing the, South Africa are going to bring the forward pack. They're going to want to face you head on. It's going to be a gritty game. It's all the forwards just smashing into you. Ireland, in a couple of times in these sorts of games, actually just try and match that. They really try and front up themselves to not show any sort of weakness in that area. It ends up being that their game is just doing what the South African game is. I would like to see them actually totally change this and go for a open, wild play. You've got your 5-3 on the bench. You can afford to spread the ball out wider. You can afford to try and knacker their forwards out more because they've got the more replacements, but you can try and punish their backs more. I'm kind of inclined to see that maybe Ireland would go for a bit more of an open play, whereas South Africa would probably want to go more set piece to set piece and really punish the Irish forwards, try and tire them out quicker, trying to get them tied up in mauls, trying to get them tied up in scrums, and then actually sort of punish them that way. Whereas I think Ireland, the way to do this might be a lot of kicking and a lot of open play and letting the ball run around a bit. But what do we think in terms of a score prediction? Who knows? Who knows where this game is going? This is, I think, going to be a very interesting game. Now, one thing that I think is a critical thing when you're talking about, where you see this game going, the Springboks have got Pollard in at 10. I think for me, it was one of the biggest letdowns for them in the World Cup was not having someone who was going to be at the really top tier of international kicking. Marnie Leibach missed far too many kicks, especially in this matchup in the pool stage game. They do have Andre Pollard now, so penalties are just going to be, 3 points, or, they're probably very likely going to be 3 points, probably from both sides. Penalties are going to be all important, so again, I think the Springboks will want to keep it involved with the scrums. They'll want to try and generate those penalties where they can do. Ireland have certainly got big opportunities to score tries. We saw it across the Six Nations. Bonus points were coming in. They've enjoyed scoring tries, and I kind of hope we see Ireland spread away from just doing the penalty 3-point game and a low-scoring game. I would like to see Ireland go, let's go for big points, and suddenly force Springboks to actually face, we can't keep taking these threes. We're going to have to go for the tries. We're going to have to go for the big push. Springboks playing at home, though, as well. They've got a good record playing at home. It's really hard to call between these two sides. I feel like if you're an Ireland supporter, you're saying an Ireland win. If you're a Springbok supporter, you're probably saying a Springboks win. From a neutral standpoint, and because I'm going to be putting it on the Superbru as well, I'm going to slightly lean. Which way am I going to lean? I still don't know. Even now making the video, I genuinely don't know. I'm going to lean towards the Springboks slightly because I feel like that home advantage and the idea that they might just play a safer game for this opening game, I think might mean that we might see this game slightly edged towards South Africa. I've still got a feeling this won't be a typically high-scoring game. I'm expecting both teams to finish, below 15 points. And it's just a lot of kicks and a lot of penalties, and everyone's just trying to organise themselves around the pitch. I hope it's not, and I hope I'm wrong about that. I want to be wrong about that. I want this to be a 40 points to 35 sort of game. I want this to explode. I just don't think it will. I'm going to lean slightly towards the Springboks because I always try and make a score prediction video. I'm going to say the Springboks by 3. I'm going to go low. I'm going to go low on there. Drop down your score predictions down in the comment sections, guys, because I always enjoy having a read through. And make sure you're locking them in on Superbru as well before the weekend starts, because it actually gets started tomorrow on Friday because there's other games going on as well. So you want to make sure you get all your scores locked in. I hope you've all enjoyed this one today, guys. Let's look forward to another awesome weekend of rugby. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.